Like, should we expect more brands? I heard you just mention more like IP and brands. Is that something we could expect here in the future?
Absolutely.
Welcome into the channel today, and today we have a special guest. We have Mr. Will from Cryptoys tuning in, the founder of Cryptoys. We're super excited to have him on the show today. William, welcome in. How are you? How are you doing today? And welcome
Good.
on.
Good, Kyle. Thanks, man. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Could you give our viewers just a quick introduction in case they haven't seen you before and get to know you a little bit?
Totally would be happy to. So, born and raised in Miami, lived there basically my entire life. Got into tech around 13 years old. Got my 1,000 hours of America Online via CD-ROM in the mail. For those of you that remember those days, so I was hanging out in chat rooms. I was a big wrestling fan back in the 90s as I was growing up, and was into WCW and WWF at the time. And
Wait. Who was your favorite wrestler? We have to know.
oh, it was Sting.
Me too. Yeah. Yes. Okay.
Sting, yes. Sting.
Love it. Love it.
Early WCW days, when there was the whole like WCW NWO rivalry.
Yes.
I mean, Sting was such a badass character, and like that whole
In the video games and playing the characters. Oh,
that N64 game.
yes.
It ate up a lot of my time. And yeah, that whole arc with him, they tried to recruit him to the NWO if he was going to pick which side. Was going to be Wolfpack, and like I could talk to you for an hour about the wrestling heyday of the 90s. So was into professional wrestling, started making wrestling fan sites on GeoCities. For folks that remember GeoCities, that's how I got into tech and started coding. Did some kind of odd jobs during my teenage years, did some like eBay consulting, helping folks put their inventory on eBay, and shops put their inventory on eBay. Then went off to college, graduated from college, and started my first venture-backed company, which was called Live Ninja. That was a video chat marketplace where you bought and sold video chat sessions on different topics. Ended up selling that company a few years later to IDT Telecom. And then in 2018, I started a little side project for my daughter called Cryptoys, which we're going to talk about today. And, that was, again, proof of concept, digital collectibles app from 2018 to 2020, just a little thing that I was doing for her. And again, nobody really cared about NFTs at the time, but obviously that changed in a big way. And now we're here today, and company is over 55 people, and we got some exciting things brewing. So, looking forward to chatting more about that with you today.
Man, yeah, absolutely. And you said something that like made me laugh is the AOL CD-ROM. The dial-up days too. It was like
and the best part was like you were trying to get online, but your mom was on the phone, and you're like, "Mom."
Man, that was rough. That was rough. Even when it upgraded to DSL, playing video games, and it would like slow down the internet, and like, yeah, it's just.
Oh yeah.
It was great times though, man. The 90s and 80s were just like the best of times. Like such a more simple world and things like that. But yeah.
Everything was discovering. You were discovering something new for the first time. Like you were like, okay, let me figure out how to use DOS. And you use DOS in like the command prompts, right? Or like how do you start an application or look up a directory? And then like Windows came out, and you're like, oh my God, there's a graphic interface and I can move the windows around. And then, things evolved from there. Obviously, we got the dial-up internet in the mid 90s, and then things like ICQ and AOL Instant Messenger and that whole world. And that's one of the things I really like about the Web3 space is it kind of feels like that sense of discovery all over again that we got back in those days. There's always something.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's almost like you have that Mark Cuban kind of come up, if you will, you know what I mean? And that's pretty exciting. Also, like I'm sure working in Miami, that's like kind of low key gonna be, it's like the kind of crypto NFT capital of, US. Like, there's New York, then there's Miami. There's like two of the big cities. Has that kind of helped you out in terms of networking and things like that? Just out of curiosity?
I'll say it didn't hurt, that's for sure. I think, Miami has a huge, gravitational pull when it comes to crypto and Web3 and NFTs. And there's obviously a lot of investors in the city, folks always coming in and out of town for different conferences and stuff like that. So yeah, it's played a role for sure. And again, folks that, I've known for a number of years, a lot of folks that are in the Web3 space have moved to Miami, but also folks that I've known come like the Web2 startups and Web2 investing have also now started to dabble a lot in Web3. I think it's been a compounding positive effect. But the good news is that the whole movement is starting to become location agnostic, so you can really connect with all these folks from around the country. So, but definitely, if you had to put Web3 as if you have to figure out what the headquarters of Web3 or one of the top cities of Web3 would be, like, Miami would definitely be on the short list, I would think, like New York and a few others.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you're gonna have to invite me out to Miami one day or something.
Yeah, well, Art
But
Basel is coming up in about a month or so. So if you don't have plans to come to Art Basel, you should definitely try.
definitely. So, yeah. Oh, let's get into Cryptoys. I know we're off topic a little bit, but let's get back into Cryptoys for everybody new. Maybe they haven't been exposed to it. Can you kind of give us like an elevator pitch for Cryptoys and what it is and what it isn't?
Sure. So what Cryptoys basically is we're building the world's premier digital toy company. So if you're to think of a company like a legacy toy company, like all the big ones, like if you were to start those companies from scratch today, and it was digital first and NFT native, what would those toy companies look like? And then how do you imagine the concept of play in a fully digital world? How do you play with digital toys? So that's what we're doing with Cryptoys, is creating this mission and goal to be the world's premier digital toy company.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I remember seeing your project or your company and just being like, wow, this is I was actually thoroughly impressed looking at everything, just because I knew it's just like you guys get it. You get the future, where the space is going, and that's what I really like. And everything that I see on your website, the trailers, the videos, it just has that triple A like toy quality of everything you guys are doing. So I love that. I mean, I mean, obviously my channel is built around like NFTs and collectibles and things like that. So obviously I'm a firm believer in it. I saw you attracted some of the biggest names too, like that you guys are backed by, like Andreessen Horowitz, Draper Associates, Dapper. I mean, those are some big names in the space. I mean, for everybody that may not know about that, those are some pretty big names. Like, or was that pretty hard to come by, or like, I don't know what the process was even like about that, but, or I don't know if you can tell us any details about that, but those are some pretty big names.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, they're all incredible partners. We feel very fortunate and blessed to be able to work with them. And like I mentioned before, like this whole project, it was a side project for my daughter in 2018. And of course, not a lot of interest, not just from VCs, but just from consumers in general about digital collectibles and what that could mean from 2018 to 2020. So it was definitely a slow grind, just making this like a side project at nights and weekends. And again, like building this for her, it was really what carried us through week after week. We were building this for our kids effectively, as a fun side project. And I think when the market really started to heat up in late 2020, starting with NBA Top Shot, which really was like the catalyst for a lot of the Web3 and NFT market, particularly in the eyes of consumers and VCs. That really kick things up a notch. And we had this side project, and all of a sudden we were starting to get interest from VC saying, hey, are you raising capital? Are you looking for partners on this project? And, we started, bringing on a few folks, having a few conversations. We reached out to a bunch of folks cold via email. Like I had a whole raising capital, cold email spreadsheet in Google Docs, and I would just say, hey, I'm Will, and I have this digital toy company called Cryptoys. And literally 48 out of the 50 investors I emailed didn't even reply, but I got two that replied. So it's very much a numbers game, and one of them ended up becoming one of our first investors. I was cold DMing a lot of investors on Twitter, again, just trying to make a name for us and trying to get our product out there and just get feedback. And one of the things we did that I thought was super helpful was, I'm sure VCs get tons of pitches every single day, so you got to cut through the noise. We recorded a 7-minute video on Loom that kind of walked people through the project, and I would just send that link out. Say, hey, I know you're super busy. I have a 7-minute video telling you what I do. I know 7 minutes is a lot to ask for, but I promise after 7 minutes, you have a good idea for why this is such a big opportunity. And we just sent that video out, and that's kind of how we started getting the first few meetings. And then it kind of snowballed from there. We were able to attract a lot of cool investors.
Wow, that's incredible to hear. That's very inspirational too. You know what inspires me too is like I think the dad side of it, because I'm a dad, I have 2 daughters, and for me, like when I heard your story, I heard about like how, you kind of built everything from your your daughter. And I think that's so cool. Like I mentioned, for all the dads and parents and people out there, I think that's so relatable. Could you kind of like tell us a little bit about that backstory? I find it so intriguing and like so inspiring. Like, I think it's so cool.
Totally, I'd be happy to. So Kyle, you have two kids. How old are your kids?
Yeah, literally one's turning 5 in a few days, and the other one is 2.
Awesome. So those are great ages. Are you familiar yet? I mean, your kids are young, but they're starting to, like, your 5-year-old's getting into that age, with blind bags. So like LOL Surprise, Hatchimals, Barbie Color Reveal. Those toys.
Yeah, yeah, totally. No, I'm into them. Like, I have like little figures and things like that. I'm reluctant to get my older daughter into it because I know I heard your story and I'm like, that's literally going to be my daughter in like maybe even months, like if not sooner.
Really, it'll become a fun bonding experience. So basically, the backstory is, I just sold my prior company. This was 2017, and I had a 3-year earn out with the acquiring company. So when you sell your company, you have to stay with the company that buys you for a certain amount of time. It's negotiated as part of the purchase, and we were there for 3 years. So I was working from home, and I've been really a big fan, and I still am a big fan of Fred Wilson from Union Square Ventures, one of the best VCs of all time, in my opinion. And he used to write this daily blog. He still writes it. I don't think he's doing it daily anymore, but every day he used to put out a new blog post on his blog, avc.com. And I subscribe to that blog / newsletter. So every morning would get his blog post in my email. And he writes a blog post. I think this was late 2017, early 2018. I don't remember exactly when, but he writes a blog post saying, "Hey, I'm investing in this new company called Axiom Zen. They're renaming themselves to Dapper Labs, and they have this new product they're coming out called Crypto Kitties. Don't laugh. It sounds stupid, Crypto Kitties, but trust me, digital collectibles are going to be a big thing one day, provable scarcity, even though it's digital." To me, that was like a no-brainer. As soon as I read that, I'm like, of course. Like I'm like you. Like, I grew up a comic book collector, action figure collector, video game. To me, digital collectibles made all the sense in the world. So I was like, this is amazing. I bought a few Crypto Kitties right after his blog post. Didn't really know what I was doing. What's a MetaMask wallet? Like, just setting all this stuff up for the first time, and I was fascinated. So just kind of playing around as a hobbyist, and then a couple of months later, I'm working from home, and my daughter, again, just as a backstory, she's obsessed with these things called blind bags, which we were talking about earlier, which are these, for your folks that are watching this that don't know what they are. There are these toys that effectively kids buy them for like 20, 30, $40 at like Walmart or Target. They take them home. Inside is a random toy. When they open it, and some toys are more rare than others. So they're looking for the rarer toys when they unbox these toys, like the ultimate unboxing experience from a toy. Just think of it like basketball cards, but like the plastic toy version of basketball cards. So my daughter and my son, they're addicted to this stuff. They're spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars of our money on these things. And I think, like, as any consumer, you get curious. You're like, why this? Why are you so addicted to this? So I looked up the company that was making these things. There are a bunch of different toy companies, and they were just printing cash, like billions in revenue off of these surprise box toys. And because they were making so much money, every other toy company was copying the model. Every toy company had a form of blind bag or surprise toy unboxing. So the entire toy industry was built now around this concept. So again, fast forward to a few months later, I'm working from home. My daughter screams from the playroom with excitement one day, and she says, "Dad, come quick. I found the ultra rare. Finally, this is the one I've been looking for. It's the ultra rare. I'm so excited. I'm so excited." She looks at it for like 10 seconds. She's like looking at it. It's like a gold plastic doll. And then 10 seconds later, after the novelty wears off, she throws it in the bin with all the other ones just to collect dust, like in the corner.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself right then, that was like the light bulb moment. I'm like, oh my goodness, here's this multi-billion-dollar segment of the toy industry that's predicated on collectability and scarcity. We can now do these digitally for the first time ever, thanks to NFTs. So I asked my daughter, I said, "Sweetheart, what if I were to make you the digital version of these toys where you can collect them, chase after the rare ones, but then when you get them, you can actually do things with them, play games with them, interact with them? Would that be something you'd be interested in?" And she's like, "Oh my God, Dad, that'd be amazing. I would love that. That'd be incredible." So I was thinking to myself, I was like, all right, I got a couple years left on my earn out. I still have to finish this up. But nights and weekends, I can build a little side project with my daughter, and I'll be like a father-daughter kind of bonding experience building this app. So that's what we did. I recruited my previous co-founders from my previous company. They joined. Then Freddie joined the team. Freddie came from Disney and Konami Games. He joined as a 3D artist. And then JT, who's our fifth co-founder, he joined also, and we created this little project called Cryptoys and proof of concepts. And then a couple years later, we were able to actually make it a real thing. So that's kind of how the whole thing started.
That's awesome, man. And yeah, you can definitely tell. I mean, you just said you're one of your artists that came from one of those, big name companies, and it definitely shows. I mean, the quality is amazing. And just to give the viewers too a little backstory, just real quick on the Crypto Kitties, because that was crazy, man. Even I actually didn't really understand the hype behind it at first, and even I was kind of like, what is going on? Like, what are these crypt kitty or Crypto Kitties are going for like massive amounts of ETH. And I think if it was a brand I really like knew of, I probably would have been like, oh yeah, I totally get this. I knew where NFTs and Web3 was going, but it did take me a second to realize like what was actually happening here. But fast forward to today, Dapper is one of those pioneers in the NFT space, and I found it super interesting. You guys were on the Flow chain, which was created by Dapper Labs, which was one of the creators of CryptoKitties, one of the OG's NFT projects in the entire ecosystem and space. So that was very interesting. Around that, like, how excited are you guys to be working with them, or at least partnered up with them and on their Flow chain?
Yeah, they're amazing partners. First off, I gotta give my respect and hats off to Dapper Labs because they're such pioneers. They actually invented the term NFT. There wouldn't be a term NFT without Dapper Labs. They coined it and invented much of the technology that we use today. They created the standard. So, CryptoKitties started a lot. That was effectively the first, if you wanted to call it the first bull run of NFTs, just kind of getting people through the door. And then they kickstarted the second bull run through NBA Top Shot. So both of these waves, they were really at the precipice. And if you ask a lot of people how they got into the space, how they get into Web3 and NFTs, folks will either say one of two things. They'll say it's either CryptoKitties or NBA Top Shot. So it's just great to recognize just how instrumental they've been as far as the development of this industry and this space as a whole. So for us, when we were figuring out how we were going to scale this, I reached out to Roham, the CEO of Dapper Labs, and we connected via Twitter on DMs. And then he said, shoot me an email. I was able to jump on a call with him a few weeks later and walk him through the entire vision. And he goes, man, this is incredible. You have to build this on Flow. And he started telling me why he built Flow. And remember, Flow was created because they realized that Ethereum, especially at that time, was never going to be able to scale and support the vision that they wanted for NFTs. Obviously, Ethereum has done a ton of progress, switching to proof of stake and lots of different improvements that are going to help, I think, the future of the entire industry. But particularly at that time, there were a lot of concerns about how this would scale from a gaming standpoint, microtransaction standpoint, high fees, gas wars, etc. So they built Flow by necessity because what they saw with CryptoKitties was like, remember, CryptoKitties took down Ethereum when it launched.
Yeah, that was a mess. Yeah, you couldn't even send a transaction without spending hundreds of dollars, if not like $1,000, just to send like a little bit of Ethereum from one wallet to the other.
Exactly. So they solved their own problem. And he was telling me, he's like, listen, I created Flow to serve platforms like this and products like this. And for us, it checks so many boxes, and we just love working with them. So not only did they help us from a technology perspective, but they actually became investors in the company as well. And they've been great supporters. So yeah, just love working with those guys.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's almost like they're ahead of the time. It's like it's actually kind of spooky in a sense. Like, I mean, Dapper Labs, CryptoKitties, Flow Chain, and they're solving all these issues that are, I feel like, finally cropped up because people finally realize it. It's kind of like watching Star Wars, and it's like this movie is so ahead of its time. That's like, and that's what I feel like when I'm like looking at Dapper as an ecosystem and a platform and things like that. So Let's kind of get into your partnership with Mattel. I saw you guys were at the booth at San Diego Comic-Con, which is a big deal. I think that's very exciting, and the exposure there. Yeah, could you talk a little bit about that relationship with Mattel, and kind of how you guys have partnered up and what to expect in terms of that?
Totally. So with Mattel, we were in a fortunate position where we were able to chat with a lot of the major toy companies. I think early on, as we were developing this and we were sharing this with a bunch of people, word got out pretty quickly that, hey, this team's doing something really interesting and they're setting the bar really high from a quality perspective, and like understand like what does digital toys even mean and how would you do digital toys. So what we ended up doing was we talked with every major toy company, and it was quick for us to realize just how much Mattel made sense for us as a partner. Now, we were chatting with all the major ones. Every single one of them were kind of like dipping their toe in the water. Just they're like, NFTs, we got to take this call because the C-level told us we got to take this call. But I don't know, NFTs, maybe they're bad for the environment. That's not what I hear out there. Or like, hey, how is this going to impact our physical sales? Mattel was like the first company that we chatted with that was like, we are all in. We think this is going to be a huge part of the future. It's not about physical versus digital. It's about physical and digital.
Mhm.
And we have to take a lean forward position and disrupt ourselves. And I really love that mentality. And, they were leaning forward so aggressively, and they were so excited about what we were building. We knew that they would be the perfect partner. So we started talking about what a licensing deal would look like. How would we bring their iconic IP and characters onto our platform? And then it became very clear that this is more than just a licensing partnership. This is something that we want to work with them on a lot of different fronts. So they actually wanted and were interested in investing in the company and becoming shareholders of the company so that we could further align ourselves. So we ended up, when we were doing our Series A, inviting Mattel to participate in that round. So now they're also shareholders of the company. So it's not just a licensing deal. And we got a lot of cool stuff planned with them. So not just bringing, like we announced, obviously Masters of the Universe, but we got more IP coming down the line. But expect to see some really cool product deployments and initiatives between our two companies. We're really excited about that partnership.
Yeah, that's super exciting. I didn't know that they invested on the seed A. That's like really exciting. And shows that like these big brands and these legacy companies and things like that can get involved in the space. And I love that Mattel is kind of like leading the way in that sense. And instead of just dipping their toe, I totally agree with that mindset of digital and physical. Like, why not bridge the two together? What I'm seeing a lot in the space, William, is like I see a lot of people coming in on the physical or on the digital side first, doing digital collectibles, and then they start collecting on the physical side. And it's like, whoa, like that's kind of a paradigm shift. And I think that's going to continue to grow, and we'll continue to see that types of trends for the foreseeable future, to be honest. And yeah, like should we expect more brands? I heard you just mention more like IP and brands. Is that something we could expect here in the future?
Absolutely. So, I mean, I all I want to do right now is tell you who we have coming through the pipe. Like I want to so bad because I'm so
Yeah.
excited. We have some major IP coming to the platform. That's all I can say.
See that I'm super jacked like on Mountain Dew right now to hear that, because like that's a big deal, right? And like you guys already, what I've seen like out of your product and your company is just quality. Like it just oozes of that. And so when I hear more brands, I'm like, oh yeah, this is what I thought it was, and this is where it's going. So super excited to hear that. Let's get into the collectible side of Cryptoys. How does it work, and how can users actually like participate on the platform?
Yeah. So basically, when you go onto cryptoys.com, you create a free account, choose your username. I saw you got Kyle, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I got that little pass, like that custom, like, yeah, I love that. I love that.
Awesome. So you create an account, and then basically what that's going to do is create a backpack for you. We call our quote unquote wallets, we call them backpacks. It's a little bit more on brand. It's where you're going to store all of your assets and collectibles. So basically, we're going to be doing drops, different waves of drops. We have like our Genesis one, we have the Masters of the Universe line, we have more stuff coming. And when the drops open, you'll be able to go online, log into your account, and buy Cryptoy cubes. So they come in these, looks like almost like a Rubik's Cube kind of looking thing, and different
Mhm.
lines. They look a little bit different for each one that you purchase. You buy them. They're the heroes that we're launching initially are $39.99 per cube, and then once you buy them, you could choose whether or not you want to open them. You could leave them sealed, or you could decide, hey, let me see what's inside. It's a really cool. Even though it's digital, it feels very tactile and interactive. We could show if folks want to check out our Twitter, they could see some unboxing videos and things like that. But as soon as you click on the cube, the whole thing kind of explodes, and then inside is a Cryptoy in a sealed blister pack. And you can kind of see like an old school kind of hanger box toy that you would see.
Yeah, yeah, I love that.
And the cool thing about it is like now it's in pristine condition. You can decide, hey, do I want to keep it in the box or do I want to open it and play with it? If you keep it pristine in the hanger box, there's going to be some benefits to that. There's like staking benefits and stuff that we also want to release for folks that have them in mint condition.
Ooh, okay. All right.
Yeah, but if you want to play with the toy, you tap on it again, the whole packaging will burn off and dissolve, and your Cryptoy literally comes to life, jumps out at you on the screen, and then you can have a fully interactive toy. We released this little test drive area that we call the block. So you can take your Cryptoy out for a spin, run with him, jump with him, do a bunch of different things there. But I would encourage folks that want to collect and build out their collection. You're going to want to have ones that you keep on ice and keep them in the blister pack, and then ones that you take out of the packaging. So that's what's cool about it, is you could have some that you rock and some that you stock,
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that, man. I mean, that literally that is the thing of dreams. Like literally, like when you're a kid, obviously ripping open that toy, make like just that feeling of it, like you want it to be alive. And I love that you guys are actually capturing and going so much more than that. Like with this, like this wasn't possible in physical, but in the digital, it is possible. And I love the package reveal and how it like burns away. I'll definitely throw up the graphics when I throw this video up on YouTube, but yeah, I just love that. Could you talk a little bit, like, I think that's a perfect segue into like the mini games, what you can do with these. Like, could you talk about that a little bit?
Sure.
Mini games, like, yeah.
Sure. So the first kind of, there's different stages kind of as we roll out this platform, because this is a ambitious project. This is a huge lift of software, and we're doing so much here. We're doing not just toys and collectibles, but gaming and apps, and also original entertainment and animated series, which we could talk about. Like, there's so much here, so we have to roll it out in stages. So the first thing we're doing is we wanted to get this out into to our customers and our community's hands, get feedback, etc. Folks have been waiting, as we've developed this, very patiently. So the first kind of wave, as we release these first few lines, are going to be the collectible experience, where, hey, build your collection, collect them, try to collect them all, play around on the block, etc. We're also in development right now as we speak, and we're going to release them very soon, a number of mini games. You'll be able to take your Cryptoy, select which Cryptoy you want to play with, and then have like a casual gaming style experience. We're doing, things that range from hyper casual games to casual. So you'll be able to play with your Cryptoys in a variety of different ways. And we're always going to be building mini games. So you could think of us in a way, a lot of people like to call us the NFT native Nintendo. In a sense, because you're getting these
Yeah.
toys, you can take your characters and then play with them in a lot of different games, like Mario Party style. We like to think we're kind of at the intersection. If Funko Pop and Nintendo had a baby, is kind of
Yeah.
what we are effectively. So gaming and interactive elements are a huge part of what we're building. We're doing our first few games ourselves. We're also building at the same time our SDK, so that gaming partners, and we're establishing a number of different partnerships with gaming studios. We want to build Cryptoys games. So the Nintendo analogy is interesting there too, because like Nintendo makes Mario Kart, they make Super Mario, but they also allow other companies to build on top of Nintendo as a platform. So very similar with us as well. So you'll see, hopefully, if we do our jobs right, a number of games that you could take your Cryptoys in and play with, over the next couple of years here.
Man, that's really exciting. I'm obviously, like, for my viewers, like I've worked in the Web3 gaming space specifically, and so like I'm a firm believer in games period in the Web3 space. So for me, that's like abundantly exciting to hear that. So And again, it just brings the collectible to life. And I think that's what we all really want. You know, we get excited about that. Could you tell us a little bit about the like drops and kind of the cadence and what we should expect in terms of that? And I know there's like a drop coming up. By the way, I'll have a form in the description below for a, I believe it is a Motu or Masters of the Universe private beta drop form down below for everybody watching right now. FYI. But yeah, could you talk a little bit about that?
Totally. So we just did a test drop the other week just to kind of test out a few bits of the software that we developed and stress test it. You know, you got to do kind of these stress tests as you launch new software. We're about to do another one coming up in the next week or so. So it depends on when this is, released. This video is released, be on the lookout for that. And then we'll do a series of drops, as many as we can before November 9th. On November 9th, there's the Masters of the Universe public drop. There might be some stuff that we'll be doing in between our test drops for our Genesis units and Masters of the Universe. So the best way to learn about that is to keep your eyes peeled to our Twitter account and to our Discord. We're going to be making new announcements there as soon as we have the dates firmed up on those. But we'll be doing a number of drops over the next few weeks here.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to that. And you guys have like a leaderboard, master collector program, and all the sorts, right?
Yeah, so like you'll see more of that in the UI over the next few months. Like right now, we're keeping track of everything, and you see some materials on like if you're a dabbler or a grandmaster collector, and there's benefits to collecting every single skin. Just those will always be part of our program. So even on day one, you could actually see what that means, and you'll see updates in the UI as we go. Where actually you'll get the badges and you'll see it in the profile.
Awesome. And that tell us a little bit about the statometer, because I know some of those collectibles will have a statometer. What exactly is that?
Totally. So the statometer is basically like, think of it like your ability to earn and get rewards more inside of the mini games. Certain characters will have certain capabilities that will allow you not just to perform better in game, to do certain things better in game, but also kind of like think of it like multipliers in your chances to reward and get more assets or drops from the in-game challenges. So the higher your statometer, the more capable these toys will be in the different experiences that we provide. So what you see effectively is 3 tiers that we've set up the platform with. Mm-hmm. You have the hero tier, which are the most capable toys on the platform, and the statometers start at a specific point, and they can get to a specific point. You have the elites, which are the mid tier. The statometer starts at a specific point and it can get to a specific point. And then you have the adventurers and kind of goes from there. So they're different price points. So remember, these characters that we're releasing, the Genesis characters and the Motu characters, are all heroes. These are going to be some of the most capable toys that we provide. But we also will do waves that'll be at a lower price point, in the coming months, that will allow people to get in the Cryptoys ecosystem for even less than $39.99 per cube, and allow them to have a fun collector's experience that's maybe even more economical. We wanted to try to make this as economical as possible and more equivalent to what a physical toy would cost. So we want to have different ranges for folks, and based on the tier that you have, it affects how your statometer can go up and what cap the statometer is. So we wanted to offer something for everyone and then give people different capabilities based on which ones they have.
Yeah, I love that. I love the thought put into it. I mean, when I look at everything, I can see that it's clearly for collectors and people that love just to collect toys and that sort of genre. So I love that there's a lot of thought put into that. When I watched you guys go through the media kit or that deck, I was really impressed with that. So kudos to you guys for doing all that. Yeah, and what are pocket dimensions? Is that like under wraps? Is that classified information, or what is that?
I think we talked a little bit about it on a previous stream, so I can mention it here. So basically, think of that as your area where you are going to, assemble not just your collection, but also put different things in place. So, for example, we're launching something in a few months. It's going to be sometime in 2023. Not just toys, not just but also play sets. And play sets are kind of like, remember when we were a kid, you get the Castle Grayskull play set or the Ninja Turtles play set or stuff.
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So what's cool is you'll be able to buy play sets that are actually, they look like buildings, and you could actually take your play sets in your collection and you could put them in your pocket dimensions. And with your pocket dimensions, now you can interact with things in a lot of different ways. You could take your toys, put them into specific buildings, have different interactive elements there. Some of them are like application launchers. Some of them are different kind of utility-based experiences. So think of a play set as like a way that you get a specific mini game or a specific app launched from your pocket dimension. And your pocket dimension is like your area, your customized home where all of your Cryptoys assets are going to live.
Yeah, I love that. That it's just like so many quote unquote utility, but it's just like all this like I don't know, emulating what you would get in real life and bring it into the digital. I love it, love it. Speaking of which, like you guys are creating like some AI. It's like this, like your collectibles talking to you. Like what is that? Like that is crazy to think that, you know?
A lot of people don't know this, but we have two people full time at the company, and all they're doing is natural language processing and AI. So we have two team members, and that's entirely what they're dedicated to, is creating cool experiences using NLP and AI. So we haven't talked about this much and marketed this much because we're going to do some big stuff in 2023 around it. But remember, this is a platform that we're building with Cryptoys, and it's not just around video gaming. We're also doing collectibles and whatnot, but we're also building apps, like utility-based apps that actually could be useful to you in your day-to-day. And what's really cool is interesting to think about, like my kids, and you have two yourself, they're growing up in a world where AI voice-based assistants are commonplace in homes. So like my kids interact with Alexa every single day. They chat with Alexa. Alexa's like kind of part of the family at this point. They're asking Alexa to play music on Spotify or check the weather. Believe it or not, Kyle, my son's first word was adada, trying to activate Alexa.
That's awesome.
He was going to say Alexa, adada, adada.
Yeah, 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 my daughter's, yeah, my oldest one for sure. She always is talking to Alexa, playing music and all the sorts.
So interesting to think, right? We have this whole next generation of kids growing up with these AI-based assistants, Alexa, Siri, Google Home. They're all imageless. They're all faceless. There's no visuals to it. So if they're growing up with these assistants and AI is already like something that's part of their daily life, what cool things could we give them, not just them, but us as well, when a big visual component can be a part of it, when you actually could have these Cryptoys and not just play games with them, like, and interact with them and have fun with them, but actually they could provide utility. And you could actually say, okay, I'm done playing with my Cryptoy, my Comet, right? Comet's the cat in the Cryptoy universe. Comet, what's the weather today? And all of a sudden, Comet's done playing with a video game with you for 30 minutes, and now he's telling you about, what's the weather and what's
That's wild.
awesome stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna name mine Jarvis. I have to. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I can change their name, but I feel like I should.
Yeah,
No.
that we're gonna talk about in the next few months here regarding that, and like it goes back to like you were saying it early on, like the golden age of toys, and like when we were a kid, it was like taking it out of the packaging and then like imagining it coming to life, right? And like you talk to your toys, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Because we would talk to them, be like, we had different things, whether it was a Hot Wheels or GI Joes or Ninja Turtles. We'd put them in different scenes and voice act for them.
Yeah.
I mean, what if we could bring that all to life for real? Like,
Yeah. Exactly.
really exciting, and we can't wait to chat more about the NLP AI side, in the coming months here.
Love it, love it. And I love like everything you guys are doing is like for all ages. Like of course people like our age are gonna like still dream about that. Like that was like a big dream for you when you're younger, and our like inner kid in us like totally still wants that. Like, you know what I mean? So I love everything you guys are doing for all ages, and I love that you have the entertainment side and so much you guys are working on. But yeah, I just found it super interesting that the AI and everything like that. By the way, what's your favorite Ninja Turtle? I meant to ask that earlier.
Oh man,
I know you're a big fan. I saw you on Sean's podcast, Comics and Crypto.
I gotta go with my guy.
Oh, we got yeah.
My guy, Mike here. Mike's the man.
Yeah.
I mean, I love them all.
I love Donatello.
Yeah, you know what? As I get, I was really into tech as a kid, so like I
Yeah.
always connected with Donatello because he was the smart one out of the bunch.
Yeah. I love them all, to be honest. It's hard to pick sometimes.
Donatello's runner up for me. But man, I love that IP very, very, very much. A very fond place in my heart for Ninja Turtles, because that was my IP growing up. I think like right after the generation right after us, they got Pokemon. Like I kind of missed the
Yeah.
wave. So I was like, all right, sandwiched. I was sandwiched right in between Masters of the Universe and Pokemon. And
Yeah.
I had an older brother. I have an older brother, and he loves Masters of the Universe. So I was exposed, even though I was younger, to He-Man, a lot of He-Man stuff. So Masters of the Universe, doing that IP was a big full circle moment for me and my brother here. So
Totally. I feel like it was a golden age too, like of cartoons and animated series.
I agree. And like a lot of the things you'll see here with Cryptoys is like love letters to the golden age of toys. You're going to see all these little kind of nuances that kind of really tug at the heartstrings of folks like us. And like you said, this is an all ages platform, not one that's just for kids. Like we want to get the whole family involved and have a lot of fun with it. And, I believe, and I think you would agree to this. I have a theory that we grow up, we become adults, and we're just constantly looking for ways to feel like a kid again in everything that we do. The clothes that we wear, the shoes that we buy, the cars that we drive, the people that we connect with, the movies that we watch. Because when you were a kid, everything was new, right? There's like sparks of excitement, when you would
Yeah.
discover something.
Speaking of shoes, I just want to be like Mike.
Look, I got my Jordan.
Hey, yeah, let's go. Let's go.
So I really believe that. So I think like we need to embrace that fully, right? We're always looking for that spark of excitement, of energy, and that newness. So, stuff like you, and I know a lot of folks in your community can agree with that too. Whenever we buy a digital collectible or we discover something, it's that feeling that we get inside. Like, remember like walking out of the theater, the moment you saw Jurassic Park for the first time,
Yeah, totally.
moments that we're searching for on a daily basis. And with Cryptoys, we want to provide that whenever you want it, effectively. And that's kind of a big mission behind the company.
Yeah, man, I can get behind that for sure all day. I mean, you're ticking all the boxes and super excited for the future of everything you guys are doing. And I'll be looking for those drops. And just once again, for the audience, we have that form below there. So I'll link that below where you can get access or selected. So I think you have to be, I think it's like a raffle and to the Master of the Universe private beta drop and win a Cryptoys cube. So you definitely want to enter that raffle, and that's all we got, man. I'm out of questions, and I know you. I want to respect your time, and I know you're busy and building amazing things, as we just covered literally at the entire show here today. But man, I appreciate you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'll be happy to host you again sometime soon and catch up again. So thanks for coming on, and we appreciate you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kyle. Really appreciate you, man. It was great to be on, and look forward to connecting more.
Absolutely. And we like to close it out by saying, be like an NFT, be authentic, and we'll catch y'all later. Peace.